someone sees a Pinterest photo and it's a beautiful gable roof, and you go outside and it's just like a lean-to one, you're like, oh, it's just, So it's hard, I guess, for clients to know that, but I guess the roof line's the big one. Yeah. I think that's the biggest. Yeah, it can make or break the design, I think.
G'day guys, welcome to the MTDC Lounge. This is a podcast about the construction industry and what you can expect. Whether you're a bright-eyed renovator, a budding developer, or a seasoned vet, we will dive into the construction world, touching on what to expect, what's next, and how to go about it. We'll hear from a heap of experienced consultants and trades. Be sure to tune in for all aspects. So let's get stuck into the next episode. G'day guys, and welcome to the MTDC Lounge. Today, I've got Bree, and you're with your host, Matt. Bree is one of MT Design Collective's newest designers. She's doing an amazing job. And today we're going to talk about, I guess, seeing our clients on site and how we go about it. And I guess the frequently asked questions while we're out there and getting all of the, I guess, like all the hard questions, I guess, and how we're going to do what we do so well at MT Design, and we'll break it through. So if you can start off there, Bree, what brought you to now? What have you gone through?
Yeah, my favorite thing about design is meeting the people, helping them, going through their homes and just kind of seeing how they live, but then how we can make it better for them. Yeah. So that's always been my one true passion with design. And when I started here, I knew that was like the forefront of your business. So it was like perfect meeting of the minds. So yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And you went through your uni degree, didn't you?
Yes. So I did bachelor and then went on to my master's. So it's a long trek, but we got there in the end.
Yeah.
But again, I think doing building design is a bit more in touch with people and their projects rather than just doing commercial and just doing high-rise apartments and things like that. So I'm more drawn to learning about the clients and having that personable sort of connection with them.
So when we get the phone call for you to go out to see a client, what do you do? How do you get ready to go and see a client?
Yeah, cool. So what I do is I look up the address and I basically see if there's a real estate floor plan. And so before I go to anyone's house, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, and I kind of see the notations that Maddie gets when someone calls and they write, so you kind of say what they want. So I'm kind of already looking at the floor plan. I go, okay, say they want to do a deck extension and kind of reconfigure their kitchen. I'm looking at that floor plan and thinking, okay, without even knowing the client or meeting them, I'm kind of go, okay, how can we kind of find a solution for what they're, just that tiny little notation there. So I go to the house, have the printed floor plan on hand, and kind of go through the house, talk through about what they're kind of looking for, and then I have the floor plan that's currently there and go, okay, so what things do you want to keep and what things do you want to kind of reconfigure? And so with that, it kind of gives us a sense of like, how can we keep most of the existing as we can without just moving a wall for the sake of it? How can we really align what they're kind of wanting with the redesign with what's there existing and go, okay, what's the best way functionally and get that overall flow? So that's how I do it. If there's no floor plan or real estate floor plan, I just make as many notes as I can. And if I am remembering correctly, I kind of remember the floor plan while I'm on site and sketch out kind of what we were talking about. And then again, when we get the crew to come out and do the existing measure up, the sketch kind of translates with what's actually there, and then kind of go from there basically.
Yeah, nice one.
What do you do?
Nice. What do I do? Well, I can tell you I'm not as organised as that.
You got a lot on. So.
No, well, after a number of years and being in the industry for 20 something years, I guess I do my best work straight off the cuff. Mind you, I've made a few changes. I've started incorporating AI and things like that. So,
that's cool.
So I get a lot of our conversations transcribed and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I tend to find that I have a hard time I guess, focusing on a conversation and writing down and drawing at the same time.
Right, yeah.
And at that same time, what I do is when I go out to site, obviously we always find out, where we're going and what's been asked for and all the bits and pieces. But I don't get a sense of the house until I'm actually there. So I remember like I went to a client's house yesterday, and he mentioned that he just wanted an extension out the back and all the bits and pieces, and I was like, yeah, great, not a problem. And then while I'm out on site, the first things I'm looking for are drop ceilings, skillion roofs. Like I'm thinking structurally, how does this go together? Like if we're going to rip this part off, or if we're going to change this, what's the next move? Like our roofs changing, our water, wet areas changing. These are the conversations, because everybody knows the roof, the water area, all the wet areas, and the kitchens are all the most expensive parts to change.
Yep.
So they're the first thing. They're the first things that I check. And I tried the note taking. While I was on site. That was no good, because I was never paying. I was always missing something. And then I tried the note taking after the meetings. And then I if I had a lot of meetings on that day, I'd be like, I'd get it at the end of the day. And
and
then all of a sudden it's I've got 3 days of meetings of writing.
Oh my god.
Have that 5 minutes, but now with the automatically transcribing now it's
cool.
super easy, and it's all summarized now and easily done, and then I guess I can actually start paying attention to the clients, and
absolutely.
I guess pay attention to the structure and what the clients are asking for without missing anything.
Absolutely.
I'm a bit more of a personal person like that. I think I'd like to try and focus, I guess. I guess that's just how I work, I suppose.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I like it.
What are the things that you go, I wish you knew. I wish you knew how to ask that question. Or I wish you knew, how to ask that question.
Yeah, maybe the big one's the roof lines, I reckon. Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's almost like, let's go into the backyard and let's look at the roof and see what's happening to start with.
Yeah.
So I think when someone sees a Pinterest photo and it's a beautiful gable roof, and you go outside and it's just like a lean-to one, you're like, it's just, So it's hard, I guess, for clients to know that, but I guess the roof line's the big one. I think that's the biggest. Yeah, it can make or break the design, I think.
every day, completely agree.
Yeah.
They could have the gable, or they could have the hip roof or anything like that, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, we just want to do a little bit of a push out on that corner or something like that. You're like, oh no, you can do that little bit of a push out. You could do like a 2 or 3 meter square or out on this inside corner of a valley, and then you're like, oh well, no.
It's like waterproofing.
Waterproofing. No, but no, 100%. And then following that, like the next question I would ask is like, how attached are you to your roof? Like,
yes.
Do you want to remove it? Yeah.
Yep.
What else do you find that you get asked?
That, and probably like step downs, like where their deck, if they got a deck extension and they kind of, again, see it's all about the inspiration. So it's either the deck, like it kind of filtering out, and if they've got a really big slope, it's like you've got to have some stairs or something. That, or a window right near a shower in a bathroom. So
the NCC guideline, the new rule. Yeah.
So that's another one.
Yeah. So on that one, so everybody knows the window in the wet area can't be within 1,500 mil of a water point.
Yeah.
And the seal has to be 1,800 off the finished floor level, or they have to get a performance solution.
Yes.
Performance solution is a big report that costs a couple of grand to say, hey, waterproof is. This is how you do your job.
Absolutely. So I guess like if clients, or I guess people kind of knew that, then I guess that would totally frame the rest of their bathroom design or something like that, rather than just like see a photo and go, oh, this is great, but it's like it's from America or somewhere.
It's not just such a quick it's not just a quick reno or a quick flip or something like that. Yeah. No.
Yeah. What about you? What do you wish?
So amongst the roof as well, I think one of the bigger things that I also wish that the people kind of knew were the setback requirements.
Yes.
And how close they're actually allowed to build to the boundaries. Like
Absolutely.
That's a huge thing.
Yep.
But it's also a tricky one to answer, because councils change their opinions, and the development controls are always changing, and they're always guidelines. So, but as a hard and fast rule, the standard setbacks for local council is always a huge one.
Absolutely.
Height requirements is a massive one too. So, like we touched on some slopes there for a bit, but I mean, if their peak of their roof is actually higher than 8.5 meters at any point. it becomes a problem.
Absolutely.
So the things like that, the compliance things, height things, and like I don't expect the clients to know that, but I think just like a bit of an awareness, I guess, of hey, I think the house is going to be a little bit too high for this. We're going to have to kind of address it.
Absolutely.
Not that we can't address it; it's just the way we have to design for it, right?
Yeah.
But bushfire, local block issues, and I mean we spoke about it in an earlier podcast as well. Some of the free reports that they can get and with the due diligence report as well, they'll be able to find those stuff out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of comes through the conversation as well. Like I first walk in and said, okay guys, what are you kind of looking for? What are the things that you're not loving about the floor plan? What things you want to improve on? And we kind of do like a walkthrough, and then I'm just making notes throughout the conversation, anything that's highlighted that they hate or that they want to make improvements on. So basically, I guess the more questions that come about is almost like, how can we make a better floor plan, or how can we have, a bit more of a communal area where people aren't sitting on top of each other. It's a bit more easy, how we can get the private areas a bit more sectioned away, and then having a bit more of an open plan sort of connection to the backyard sort of thing. It's more about how they can achieve that with their current floor plan and how we can kind of make that happen, I guess. Yeah, for
sure. I find the first thing that when I go out to see a client, one of the first things I get asked, how can we make this space bigger? Like how can we make this more open? How do we give the space to the kids, and how do we get that outside inside space that Australians really love, I guess, particularly in Newcastle. We're around that beach area. Okay. So, and you touched on there for a moment that while you're out on site, you take a lot of notes and take a lot of photos, which is such an awesome thing to do, particularly when we're bringing it to the team. How do you find that translates? I guess from the time that you meet the clients to their first concept meeting?
I guess it comes as a conversation starter as well, because like when you first meet them in person in that initial consult, and we're bouncing ideas off each other, and it's a bit more of just a really initial draft sort of, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? When it comes to the concept, and we've gone through like seeing if this can actually work during the design phase, we have those notes, I guess, to refer back to. So even when we are doing the concept plans and the concept meetings, it's like, oh, you might have mentioned this in the initial consult. Like, is this something you still want to explore in this current form of the concept plan, or something like that? So it ends up almost being a running brief that is constantly tweaked and amended throughout the design process. So then by the end of when it starts construction, you've kind of exhausted all those little ideas throughout. So then they're super happy by the time that they get to the end.
I completely agree. So before you came along, Bree, I mean, we did a lot of memory stuff. We did a lot of note taking and things like that. And you kind of came in at almost the perfect time where we were changing up our situation and how we were going to deal with things. And your notes and your pictures that you kind of brought along with you kind of just evolved into this really awesome way of talking to a client and managing to have steps and markers along the way, all the way through their first concepts and their second concepts. While it does take a little bit of time at the start, like getting up and running, at the end of the day, their concept time, well, I'm finding in particular, their concept times are getting cut by 6 months.
Oh wow!
Because I mean, we're not doing the bounce backs of the emails anymore. There's no miscommunications. Yeah. There's no misunderstandings. Like, I mean, with our in office meetings now as well, we can go over your notes and the pictures and the things like that. And I think it's such a good way to address what the clients are doing.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I guess from that concept point of view, how do you find the process of the designing for the clients from I guess their initial meetings to almost a finished product?
Yeah, well, it's actually really cool too, because as you're on site and you're taking down those notes, and I always say as well, if you've got any inspiration photos, Pinterest, everything, send anything through, because the more detail that we have, just in the way that they might think, oh, something looks like is coastal. They want like a coastal look, but their interpretation of coastal might be different to what we think. So if they're spending that time of like their little passion project on the side, obtaining all those different notes and pictures and things like that, that can almost feed the design. So then it becomes so unique to that person. And so then when we're going through that, again, that concept phase. We're taking those little details that client wants, and it's almost like we're kind of putting little pieces of that throughout the whole design, and it makes it completely theirs rather than just a cookie cutter sort of design here and there.
That's exactly why we get into it, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that's why we're not working for spec homes. We're making sure that they're all custom, they're all designed properly. Yeah, I completely rate that. And I guess how do you find our turnaround times for the concepts? Like, do you find that they're being cohesive? Do you feel like they're being addressed in a nice and easy, succinct manner? I guess.
I think so, and I guess like with the notes as well, that kind of goes hand in hand. So then it's less, like you said before, like backwards and forwards with the I guess the emails and things like that. If it's like the notes, then it's kind of feeding that concept. So then when the client gets it, they might see a little detail that we might have touched on in the design initial consult, and they might go, oh, yeah, I actually do like that. Let's go forward with that type of detail. Or it might be like, oh, I've seen it in plan, not a fan of it. Okay, no worries. We'll take it out and just go from there, basically. But yeah, that's kind of
do you think there's is there anything that, in your opinion, that we could potentially add to our concepts or in our processes that might be a benefit to the clients? Or
maybe if the only thing that comes to mind is just inspiration images and things like that, because a lot of the clients, they're very visual and they want to know, I guess, what might this space look like, or if they've come across an inspiration photo that they like the look of. Maybe that could be the only thing that comes to mind, even if it's the type of roof that they're looking for. If they saw a stacked stone feature wall or something, and it's a tiny detail of that inspiration, maybe there's a way that we could like do some sort of dissection of an image or something like that. I don't know. It ends up being a lot of admin for the client, which we don't want. But at the same time, if they're living in this space, they know the look that they're trying to achieve. Maybe there's a way that we could try and do it that way. I'm not sure.
I mean, like we do a lot of render. We do a lot of basic renders at the end, and we do a lot of black line. I guess isometric renders and things like that. So I completely agree. I think including those color renders to the client, while we're dancing a really fine line about we're giving them a finished product. We're almost giving them a finished product right at the start. And then we're holding. I dare say some clients will maybe even hold on to the color or the ultimate finish, and not quite understand that it's still a concept and we've still got a little bit of a way to go. But I think like you're very spot on. I think managing to give a client a closer idea of an end result with the earlier concepts might support that a little bit more, for sure. I think so. Yeah, cool. Now, I mean, I guess you've been with us for a couple of months now. Do you find anything about our process that that works or doesn't work at all?
I think honestly, from the get-go, the communication between us and the client, even just doing the free consults, is so much more beneficial than a lot of other firms. I think the way that we can just give that transparent and honest advice, just so then they know like we are trusted from the very beginning, I think that's awesome. And I think from a client, like just for me to put myself in a client's shoes, they've never done a reno before, they've never really spoken to a builder before, so things like that are really scary for first time renovators. So if we are able to have that conversation from the beginning, I think that's super beneficial, and I think that's something that we really do well. I think from the very beginning.
I think so. I think one of our points, and I think it's one of the things that we try to drive home to the clients, is that we try to be a super transparent, I guess, in terms of costings from the beginning. Like we give the full quote, from I guess the reports all the way through to the construction certificate, everything that we can like control, and then obviously the outside consultants, the engineers and all the bits and pieces. We try and supply that when we can, but I find it a huge strength to give the clients an indication. Well, construction certificates, nobody gives prices on construction certificates.
Which is insane. Absolutely wild that they don't. It blows my mind.
It's incredible to me, because I mean, could you imagine going through this huge long process of six to 8 month processes of concepts and DA plans, and then get approval, and you get all excited about that approval, pass the development application, and then all of a sudden it's, hey, bang, here's a percentage fee on your construction certificate, or an extra fee on top of it to actually let you build the job.
It's insane. And it's like, it's crazy that for me personally, I'm just thinking of like just the everyday person that doesn't know that a construction certificate is a thing. They just think, oh, yep, DA approval, we can just hand it to a builder, we're ready to go. And it's like, that's when it's like a sudden halt, and it just completely changes the whole, I feel like the vibe of the entire process. It just is almost like, yeah, they have fun, and then it gets to that point. It's like, oh, what? We have to pay more.
More money.
Yeah, it's insane.
And it's not just a small amount of money either.
No,
because it's such a juicy document set too. Like a construction set is like, we're talking details, we're talking window sizes, we're talking full dimensions and everything. And all of a sudden, you can get that peak happiness, and then it can just get shut down with that extra cost there for sure.
And it completely like changes just in any sort of trust that you would have had with that designer to know that they knew that was happening or that was coming up later on and they didn't say anything. And it's a bit
usually in the fine print, right? In the quote. But and I think like we include in our quotes the driveway profiles and all the bits and pieces. So I think being nice and open about that, I think it's an important thing for clients to absolutely search, find out. It's important. It's an important process for the client to go and compare quotes. And I think in my opinion, it's always go shoot for three. Shoot for three quotes, and then compare them all. Find out what's on one and what's not on the other.
Absolutely.
I mean, do you find that there is a massive difference? I mean, in the few quotes that you may have seen, do you find that there's a bit of a variance there at all?
Absolutely. Because I think even in the initial the initial quote stage, yes, there's a lot more involved and it's a lot like to look at, but at least it kind of illustrates what's actually ahead, and it's kind of giving the idea of what's going on in the future as well.
It tends to scare a lot of people. Like, I mean, once you see a quote, but you see a big number, you're like, "Whoa, wait a minute! Like, is this actually all necessary?"
Yeah.
But council now are specifically asking for things like surveys, soil reports, and engineering, because they won't approve them otherwise.
No, yeah.
And I think it's incredibly important that it's identified right at the start.
Oh, 100%.
And I think it's important. I mean, retaining wall plans, slab plans, engineering, all that kind of stuff. They're huge.
Even like just the simple geotechnical report, like even before you can get a construction certificate now, they're asking for like a soil classification. And so that's an extra add-on that's like, a couple grand. It's not like something that's small. And that's only just come into effect, was it last year or the year before, something like that?
It was last year. I remember the full shift. It was because when we started doing the applications, they're like, because we used to get away with it. No soil testing needed. And now, because a lot of the engineers were like, oh yeah, we've done a few slabs around there. You're looking at around this space. Let's do that. And I guess that creates an issue as well. Like the engineers are probably over engineering just in case, because they don't want to get in trouble either. But but at the end of the day, I guess the soil report's important. And then again, the question is then, how early do we get those reports? How soon? How quickly do we incorporate these prices to get this done?
Absolutely. And I think even if it's like, even though it is like, like a big number, at least we're being transparent and say, hey, this is what's going to need to be done at some point. If you're really serious about building, I think it's better to, I guess, showcase that because we are in the know and we do know that that's happening later on, than not saying anything and just waiting till that point and be like, oh, by the way, you need this to get a construction certificate. Like, it's crazy.
The immediate heartbreak.
100%.
Yeah. So, and like I don't know about you, Bree, but when I go out and see clients out on site, the cost is always a thing that comes up every time. And the cost and timeframes always without fail. And so when I'm out at the clients, they usually say, hey, how much is it going to cost me to build? Usually if the client asks for that cost or that value of the build, if it's a reno, I usually sit myself around that $3,600 to $4,700 a square meter for the single floor, for a single reno. But obviously those prices can vary. But then I guess the one question that we have a little bit more control over is how much is the planning? How much is this going to cost me from now to before we even turn dirt. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I know my price. What kind of price do you usually put on that one?
I kind of say that with our quote, you guys use the my notes and basic. It's because I don't really know, so I do be transparent and say, look, like with the notes for our job to do our job, it'll be in the notes, and if you want to reduce the scope or anything, we can do that, and those notes kind of go hand in hand. So it kind of goes through, I guess, their priorities and what they actually want with the design, rather than saying, oh, we can do 3 different floor plans or whatever it might be. With the actual quote of the build, I do say that we have builder recommendations, so we can have those conversations right at the very concept stage, kind of filtering out what's, I guess, the priority of the design and kind of working that way just way before council, because you much rather, well, I personally would much rather have a builder quote my job before I go anywhere near council, so I'm happy and I can have that time to reduce it if I need before going into council territory. Yeah,
because once we start changing the plans after DA application or development application, it starts to get expensive. Like we have to start changing. But I mean, in my opinion, if we're offering a price between the planning stage from the start of the concepts all the way through the CC, I usually recommend to set aside easily over a 12-month period 20 to 25 grand.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
easily. So I mean that's including council fees, that's including the planning fees, any surveys or anything like that.
Yep.
And like 9 times out of 10, if they're going to a complying development, they're going to get change out of that money.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think, I mean, in my opinion, you don't want to say, hey, you're going to get through this with a 15 grand bill and with all your bits and pieces included, and then they get to the end of that 6 months and go, oh, what have you done? What have you done to me, mate?
Yeah, because even like if they're in like a bushfire zone, like that's a bushfire report, and they're not cheap. No. So it's like those sort of things. Like, it's hard to kind of put an exact digit, but at least when we are doing the initial kind of review of the site and kind of getting that idea, I guess we just know that if it's deemed as vegetation buffer zone or something like that, we know at least, okay, maybe we need to kind of start looking into that as well as an add-on and things like that. But it's a lot to think about.
It is. And I think just touching on that one, I guess just finally, like our new quotes that we're sending out now as well, we're including our due diligence report. So these reports are about $400 to $500 a piece, and now we're just throwing it in for part of the quote. So this due diligence report will give the clients the information that we need, and they will be aware. And there's no cheeky surprises. So so once they get our quote and they get the due diligence report, they know what's there, they know what's coming, and it's I think it's just going to be, I guess it's going to be a game changer for us, because the clients are going to know, we're going to know, conversation is going to be a lot easier. And there's not going to be any nasty surprises when they come in and sit at the table and start talking. So
absolutely.
No, awesome. Well, on that, Bree, thanks so much for popping out today and having a chat to me. It's been an amazing chat, and I look forward to having you on the table again another day. And thanks for joining us again today, guys. If you want to hear it more, or if you want to meet up with anybody else that comes out on the table, just go down to the link down the bottom there and click like and subscribe. Thanks.